Got it. And tonight, the crew of Covered in Film, Ben Hansen and Russell Craigie, will be covering 2017 Netflix's horror movie extravaganza, The Ritual. So, if you haven't seen the movie, it's about a group of four guys and they have a friend who is murdered. Spoilers, there are spoilers that we do on this show. He's murdered in the
Spoilers.
first 5 minutes of the movie, though, so I didn't really spoil a lot. And then to celebrate his life, they decided to go on a camping trip. Some of them wanted to go to Vegas, but those people were outruled and they go on this camping trip instead. And
Hiking through Sweden. It's basically to
yeah,
honor his last. Here's what we should do for our annual buddies trip.
right. And they thought he would have
Yeah,
liked that.
right.
And
Well,
yeah,
he
things get pretty
suggested
bad.
it. Do they?
He
I don't
get
know. I feel like they're out in nature.
yes, most of them get murdered. There's one survivor at the end of this movie. Spoilers. Um, do you know anyone that you couldn't count on in a liquor store robbery?
Oh, I mean, I hate to say it, but I'm like, is that me? Dude, and for me, yeah, of course I watched this with Kelly and we really got into it. But yeah, unfortunately I watch it and I'm like, is that me? Do I go and I'm smart enough to be like, get the fuck over here. And my buddy is like, what? Oh, I'm gonna make some noise and draw their attention and then fucking just come on, man.
Well,
Fucking come
no,
on.
the guy who was hiding is the one who made the noise too.
Right. Right. Yes. Yes.
So that would be you.
Uh
You would get your friend killed.
so here's the thing though, right? Here's the thing. There is a specific moment where they are hyper focused on that guy. All he's got to do is peel off around the other side, come around, and he can take out that fucking guy with the bat, shove the other dude, and he could do. There's the woman on the floor is obviously probably out of commission, but the guy they bring out of the back room, yourself and your friend who's going to get murdered, you guys are likely going to be able to cause enough chaos that you're going to overpower him, or there's a fighting chance right there. The fact that he didn't, I would have done one of two things: that sneak around or just stand up with that vodka bottle. And you could probably have nailed one of those guys in the head with that bottle. And then you're surrounded by throwing weapons that you just start fucking, come on, bitch. It'd be like Hot Fuzz, another movie that Rafe Spall was in, oddly enough. But yeah,
I like to think that I would try and take out those two guys, but the smart decision to me would be sneak around. That door is totally unlocked and open. They walked in, it wasn't far away. Just make a bunch of noise to make those guys look at you so your friend can run away, and then open the door and just start screaming.
yeah,
There's people in here with knives because we're in England and they don't allow guns here.
right.
Come on, just run. Use
And
your feet.
there's, I feel like
Try
there's
getting
definitely a
robbed in
moment when that
America. It's way
when the
harder.
second guy gets involved and he starts egging on his friend to rob the shit out of the guy. Like I was like, oh, these guys, they're not just robbers, they are fucking addicts. Like
Oh
these
yeah.
are meth addicts for sure. Way over the fucking top. And yeah, unfortunately, all it took was what's his name just reaching out his arm, grabbing him, and silently pulling him back. And even if they would have made noise, they would have come down the one aisle and you could have, like you said, ran to the door. Like, yeah, it's a very unfortunate circumstance. And there's so many different outcomes that you're like, what would I have done there? As far as me being the guy who's standing there saying, it's my wedding ring, I'm not going to give it to you. You're an idiot. Take that fucking ring off and be like, here.
Yeah, got this
Also,
shit at Costco. Get another one tomorrow. They'll probably give me a
yeah,
refund.
right? It's fucking insured. It's my wedding ring. Yeah. And then when he's like, What else you got? It's like, book it down that fucking aisle, make them chase you, come around up the other side. They're probably not going to be smart enough to fucking block your exit. And if they are, start just chucking bottles. Anyway, there was no reason for him to make a stand over that wedding ring. I feel like that is symbolic and just come on, guy. The way that second guy moved, he wanted to kill everybody in there. You would recognize that, I feel. But I
I
digress.
definitely wouldn't have just hid. Like if they had guns, I maybe would have felt more cowardice, but you can run.
Mm-hmm.
Like you
Yep.
can just run.
Yep. Yep. They do
Um,
not have a gun.
what on the flip side, which friend would you want there the most? Do you can you say without a doubt who you know you would want in that situation?
Oh, like in order to make it out alive.
Mine would be Logan for sure. He'd probably kill both of them before I even open my eyes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, anybody who's been in the military and seen some shit, yeah, I would. I'm sure Logan would be. He'd get these fucking black shark eyes and just go into fucking attack mode. Yeah, Logan's probably a pretty great choice. I'm like, who can fight? Who can fight? Uh, yeah, I honestly don't know right off the top of my head. But I could definitely see Logan for sure. But it would have to be, somebody who's like, all right, we got a fighting chance. Because of my size growing up and the way my life has gone and my disposition, I haven't been in too many fights. So I need somebody where I could be like, yeah, I'll be the backup to your hammer fists because I'm just praying that I'm going to do this right. And I'm so clumsy. I'm probably smacking myself in the neck and doing all sorts of retarded shit.
You'd be
Like,
like, "Don't worry,
I'm
I'll
a
cast
lover, not a
fireball.
fighter. Right.
I will just
Right.
grab all the fireballs off this shelf and throw them at these
That's
guys."
right. That's right. Yeah. What has the best neck to throw? What's the thickest bottle? I'm going to use
Fireball
that.
whiskey, that one.
That's right.
So what do you give this movie? Rate this film. By the way, this is a horror movie. Ben does not love horror movies, and every
Not a
now and then
fan.
I make him watch one,
Yep.
and it's fun for me.
Yeah. So that being said, I would definitely call this a horror suspense. Uh, I find, it's funny. I started texting you and specifically wanted one question answered. How bad is the gore? Because to me, when they get really graphic with the murders and shit, like think of Pan's Labyrinth when they kill the people in Pan's Labyrinth and it's you're the slice and it's like, all right, that's about as heavy as I want to go. When they get to where there's torture or killing or things like that
Like
with a lot of
Hostel,
gore,
the movie
right?
Hostel is
I
just
don't need to
the
watch
worst.
Hostel. Yeah. Yeah.
Or
Don't need to
Saw.
watch it at all.
Saw is pretty hard to watch. Although Saw is smart, I will give it
The
that.
first
But
one, I actually
yeah,
liked the first Saw.
yeah,
I won't watch any of the rest of them. I saw enough for the first one, but
yeah.
yeah. So once I got past that, and it was just the suspense. I'm really engaged by the concept of I kind of told Kelly this story. I'm going to go on long on this one. I told Kelly this story about Wrong Turn. You remember Wrong Turn with Eliza Dushku? So
With
I stopped that movie
the
when I
people in the
watched it.
woods, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I started watching it and I stopped it and was like, I'm not watching this movie for a very specific reason. I've gone camping pretty much my entire life. I would love to do it more, but camping is a very big thing for me. And I don't need to go camping and be out there and imagine radioactive rednecks coming to rob and rape and kill all of us or supernatural beings that we've made it into their part of the woods and they're going to come and play with us and have fun hunting us down. Uh, not my favorite thing, but I do really get engaged with like all right, now you're in this horrible situation. Like, who can you count on? Who do you have to placate? How do you guys stick together? Or how quickly does it become every man for himself because you know you're not going to live through this if you stick with this one person who's going to poison the rest of the group? Yada, yada, yada. It was suspenseful. The more I watched it, the more I liked it. And by the end of it, honestly, I was like, God, I feel like I'm ready to love movies again almost. Like I really enjoyed the shit out of it. In the last part of it, I was like, at least show this monster one time. One time at least show
Mm-hmm.
it. And they don't disappoint. You actually get to see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's always at night, and I think that's a special effects thing, so it makes it look better. Things are just so much harder to render in the daylight.
Not a
But
high budget film, so
no, not at all. But that monster, especially when it's the burning building and you see it against the flames, and I was like, what a beautiful shot that is. Just, I thought it was really well done, very well acted. I would honestly give this movie a solid A. I would recommend it that give it a watch. It's an hour and a half of your life and well worth it. I came out of it very pleasantly
hell
surprised and
yeah.
yeah, I was very happy
Hell
with it
yeah.
by the end. Very happy.
Um, it was great to hear you say that. I picked it for a reason. I had seen it before. It was my second time watching it, and I thought it was so good the first time that I like continued to watch little YouTube clips on it and read about the monster quite a bit.
Motor.
Um,
They
Motor,
never name in the movie, but they name in
never
the
name
book,
it.
which I kind of want to read the book now.
Yeah. Um, I would, so having watched it the first time I watched it, I'd probably be right there with you on an A. Um, the second time watching it, I'd still say it's one of my favorite horror movies in kind of recent history, recent, I don't know, viewing.
Right.
And I will watch it again for sure, and I will recommend it to anyone who's into horror. Um, I'd probably give it a B plus though. So I felt like the acting was it's kind of like an afterthought is how good is this acting because the
Right.
story and the monster and like what is going on are so captivating.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, having been an amateur movie reviewer for a few years now, um, gotta pay attention to the acting and some of it's a little forced. Um, and the story itself is actually kind of simple. You know, it's just
Yeah.
people going in the woods and there's a monster. Um, it's not really doing anything new, but the monster itself, the camera effects, the visual effects, the sound effects are top notch. The pacing is great. I love how it starts off with some energy, then moves into a little bit of like storytelling build up, but it gets right into this kind of like there's this immediate gruesome thing. And you're like, oh shit, this is going to be a horror hack and slash movie. And then it's like, nope, it's actually a psychological thriller. And it really ends well, I think. Like it doesn't just try and keep your adrenaline on maximum heart pound the entire
Mm-hmm.
time. Like when they get to
Right.
that little community and you get this moment of reprieve, but there's still this tension in your mind and all that. It was
Right.
really, really well done. But you know, just acting in general, I think is a big thing to rate a movie on. And none of the acting in this was phenomenal. And it's not like it was a super original screenplay.
No, yeah, they didn't have to do much heavy lifting. A lot of it was the ambiance of what was around them, but I thought they were solid for what it was. But yeah, no,
Right.
everything that went into the movie, uh, I don't know. I thought it was very refreshingly like definitely not unique, but just refreshingly like oh a new tale on an old trope that doesn't feel used up. It felt like I could, it was very much a what do I do in this situation? I can
Mm-hmm.
see myself in this situation. And you know what I would have done? I would have said yes when he said, let's just go back out the way we came. I would have said, that's the fucking only thing to do. Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah. By the
Yeah.
way, I don't think I actually said my rating. I would give it a B
Oh,
plus the second watch,
that's
but the
right.
first time I would have said A.
Yeah.
It probably is my favorite horror movie from the last 3-ish years. Um
2017 would be six.
Fuck. Well, I watched it in the last 3 years for the first
Yeah.
time. I don't think maybe there's probably another one that stands out a little more in the last 6 years, but no,
Oh, I don't know.
eight,
I enjoyed the
6 or
shit out
seven.
of this. And it was very, very tense. They go into that cabin, and I'm like, ugh, is there going to be just creatures coming in and all kinds of shit? And the fact that it was just the one creature that hunted them when they pass up that second cabin, I was like, oh, fuck. Like the tension, your mind builds so much more than the movie gives you that it's like, oh, I love it. You did a good job with that.
So reason I picked this, I don't know if anyone who actually watches this show has a following with us and knows that we're kind of nerds. Um, we play Dungeons and Dragons and we really like it. And I like it enough to be currently listening to a podcast that is called Dark Dice. Shout out. They're way more popular than us. Hey, return to the favor, guys. Um, they do a very dark horror podcast, and especially in the first season. Um, and it was this movie. It was this movie,
Yeah.
but with heroes who could fight a little more than these four dumbasses in the woods. Um, the monster that they have in it is very similar, like antlers, and it stalks them and it messes with their mind and makes you um see your worst fears and turn on your
Mm.
friends and all that stuff. And I was like, God, I really want to watch The Ritual again. It was such a good movie. And I feel like the monster in this is like the best part of the whole movie and is definitely worth talking about. um so the monster named Motor, and it's a
It's a
female
Jotun.
Jotun, which if you're
Yeah.
not, yeah, Jotun, if you're not versed in Norse mythology, those are the giants of the Norse mythology.
Bastard
And
offspring of
this one,
Loki.
yeah,
So
isn't that
fucking
such a
cool.
cool backstory?
So
um
fucking cool.
it
I was like,
and
this is its forest. Like you're in its little domain. This is where it is a god because it's more than something from this earth. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've researched Motor a little bit. I couldn't find out why she can't leave the forest. Like she must only have influence in this certain area because right at the end
Right.
he's able to get out of it and she just leaves.
Right. Can't
But
leave the forest.
one of her powers, so she's super strong, she's really fast. She has like telepathy to make you see your worst fears, but she can give the gift of immortality, and she has this group of people. They don't ever explain that if like people worship her that she becomes more powerful or something, which happens with a lot of the mythological gods and all that, but she gives
Yeah.
this group of people immortality in exchange for them worshiping her. And such an interesting little plot.
Yeah. One of Kelly's questions was what would you do? Would you kneel or would you fight? And I'm like, oh, she said the magic word with prolonged life. Like I'm on my knees. Yeah, you're awesome. Thank you so much. I mean, that's not the good choice, but I got just when she was like, oh, she gives us unnatural prolonged life up until he gets in the attic, and that's your prolonged life. And I was like, oh no, that's not a good part of the deal. Like, you what?
Yeah, Watching it twice now, I guess I didn't Google that specifically, but I didn't quite understand. Are those them? Is that their
Yeah, those are people who've
bodies?
been worshiping her for probably thousands of years. That's what I thought.
Yeah, maybe. Or is that like the bodies of the people who are walking around and that's like their original form or something? Like I didn't
Mm,
quite understand what that
yeah.
was. But all the things
I think
are
those are
cool.
like the I think those are the ancestors of, and not even ancestors, because it doesn't seem like there definitely were no children to be seen. She gets new followers for this village simply by people who come into her domain. These people are not siring children. So I took the people upstairs to definitely be like her oldest supporters. One of the things about, you had mentioned, getting power from your worshipers. I definitely go back to Neil Gaiman's book American Gods as like to me it makes the most sense. Yeah, gods get their power from worship and sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
God's, when you kill somebody in a god's name, that is power for them, that gives them power. So when she, at the end, when they're having the chase and she keeps catching him, but instead of killing him because he's marked, she wants him to kneel, so she keeps forcing him to kneel. I found that to be honestly very like, it made a ton of sense to me.
Yeah.
I When I was looking through IMDb for this, one of the reviews I saw, which I tried really hard not to go on Wikipedia and look up the entire story before the movie was over, so that I did, didn't continue to have this gripping sense of dread, which I made it. I was pretty proud of myself. But one of the IMDb reviews is like, strong opening, good middle, underwhelming finish. And I kept watching the end like, what's underwhelming? This is it, just because it's not like on the edge of your seat at every moment. Like, it's pretty good,
I
pretty fucking
liked
good.
that. I liked that about it because if it did that, it wouldn't have given you opportunity to really develop a plot. Like that
Right,
moment of reprieve where you can actually just talk and say what the monster is and like why you're there and all that. You wouldn't get that if you're just running and being murdered the whole time.
right. Yeah. Yeah. No, agreed. I thought it was a good ending. When the old lady comes into the room and she gives him water and she's like, "Look, I got the same thing. You're one of us." And then she doesn't give the other guy any water.
And
I'm
he's
like,
like, give
"Oh,
him
that's,
water too. Give him
yeah." I'm like,
water.
"Oh, he is going to be the reason that the monster doesn't come and just kill them over time. They've got to keep feeding it. They've got to keep an offer. Even though it gets to hunt these guys and get its power from hunting them down, and there's got to be something that she garners from that. Yeah, this village exists to keep her in power. And his death, I thought, was done pretty well. Like, even when he admits he saw all of this in a vision, he doesn't lay it out like it happens. And I thought, oh, that's
The
pretty fucking cool.
where you see the camera from like over her shoulder as she's carrying him by his head.
Uh-huh.
I thought that was really well done. And she
Yep.
places him on a tree branch by pushing him with his head through the tree branch. Like, and it's going through the middle of him. And just, I don't know, imagine so fucked up. Like
Yeah.
the form of sacrifice, it was something you don't see. It was this monster. I've seen stuff from Warhammer 40,000's Chaos World and like a lot of movie creatures, Prometheus alien like laying eggs inside you, the thing, like all the crazy stuff. And this was totally original to me and
Mm-hmm.
kind of blew me away. I loved it.
Yeah, it's part humanoid with this grotesque animal body and these four legs. Yeah, I thought it was beautifully done. Yeah, I really liked the construction of the monster for this movie. It's one of the things where I'm like, oh, cool. It wasn't. I expected to come out and be bipedal and just two arms, two legs, head, antlers, So when I actually saw it, I was like, "Oh, that's fucking cool." It's an amalgam of so many forest creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then I saw in the trivia that when you watch the movie, you can see its eyes in the forest at many different points during the movie. And so that made me think, like, how good will this be on the second watch through?
I
Um,
paused a lot of times this second watch. Did you notice when he first goes up onto that tree line and looks
uh-huh.
through? Did you see the hand on the tree?
No. Uh-uh.
So I didn't see it my first watch either. But when he's like just staring and it's right there in between two trees, but you don't see it until it moves. Um, you see a hand move first. There's this little tiny human hand that is on its head,
Right.
and it moves the hand off of the tree branch. And I guess that's in the commercials, the ads that they had for the movie. And then,
Mm,
but what they don't show you is the whole creature moving afterwards, because he sees that hand move and he steps back. He's like, "What the fuck did I just see?" And then the entire tree that he thought he was looking at just walks behind another tree,
right.
and he's like, "Just get me the fuck out of here!" And he runs
Fuck
away.
yeah.
And that was like something I only saw the big creature moving the first time, but it's got these moments in it. There's quite a few of them with just like the eyes or the little hand or something. When they're all
Mm,
walking up the hill later, just the three of them, and it just zooms in on, or it doesn't even zoom in, but it shows them walking, but the camera's focused on another angle the entire time. And you're like, I know I'm staring at the monster. Otherwise, why would the camera not be moving right now? And then it finally moves, and you're just trying to find it the whole time.
yeah.
It's like a
Yeah.
fucking
And I didn't
lizard.
catch a bit of it. Not a
Yeah.
bit. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, finally being able to see it, I was like, don't make this a movie where I'm not going to see this thing the entire time. And I've got to just be like, oh, it was just something. And I never saw it. My rating would have gone down way more. But the fact that you get to spend so much time of it for the climax of the movie, I thought was like, thank you. Thank you for not being one of those movies.
Yeah, yeah. I think maybe on my first watch it was similar, and that's why I went to YouTube and watched so many clips of it afterwards. I would recommend doing it because, like, just these scenes, they're literally just walking through the woods, and it's maybe a house length away from them, just staring at them in plain sight. and
Really?
then and then when they turn to
Oh,
where
I'm
they're
gonna
not
watch it
looking
again.
where it is anymore, it moves away and moves behind a tree, and it just sends chills down your whole body because you thought
Wow.
it was another tree the entire time, but it just
Yeah.
moves. Really, really
Yeah.
cool.
Definitely
um
would watch it again.
I did want to talk about a couple other unique horror creatures, and it was hard for me to think them up. I've got my favorite, which I'll save for the end, but I thought Slender Man came out of nowhere, just a YouTube phenomenon. They
Right.
actually ended up turning it into a movie, but pretty creepy, really weird. But as
Yeah.
far as movies go, Tremors is a pretty original
Right.
one, or a pretty unique one,
Graboids.
especially
Fucking
as they
egg.
move into Tremors 2.
Right.
And it's like and then the ass blasters in Tremors 3. But The Relic, do you remember that movie, The Relic?
I never watched it. Uh, I remember a friend of mine from high school had read the book and had said like that book is one of the scariest things I've ever read. And I was like, all right, I get it. I feel like that was unfortunately one of those movies where I saw the preview and I'm like, oh, I've seen the movie. I get it.
Yeah, I think if you watched it today, nothing about it would hold up. But
Mm,
at the time, I thought it was ahead of its time. Like I hadn't seen it. I was so scared though. I was pretty young. But thinking back on it, like it was a good movie. Did you watch Mimic
yes.
with all the like locusts that turned enormous, and Mr.
Yeah.
Funny Shoes, the kid who talks with the spoons to the Mimic?
Right.
I thought those were really interesting, but uh okay, the two that I think are like the biggest, one of them I've already said. So The Thing, that's
Yeah,
got to be one of the
absolutely. I probably the best to me. Yeah.
it I would I'd probably agree because it's more iconic than either this one or the next one I'm going to say.
And the first time you're watching that movie, I mean, not modern days, maybe not, but that movie came out in the 80s. You watch it in the 80s or 90s, and it's like, what am I seeing? Your brain has a hard time figuring out, like, what the fuck is going on? And it's just like this crazy mutation. Yeah, I thought The Thing was a masterpiece.
I think it still is. You know, there's some of the creature effects that are dated nowadays, but
Mm-hmm.
um for its time, there was still to this day, there's nothing that I've seen where they take a sample of your blood and touch it with something hot to see who in the room is the one trying to
Yeah.
kill all of you.
I'm
And
gonna show
everyone's
you what
tied
I
up.
already know. Fucking Kurt Russell, man. That's one of his best.
Yeah. I mean, one of my guys. So, yes.
That's right.
I get two guys, him and Russell Crowe. Uh the other one
What about
that
Russell
just
Brand?
nah. The other one that has stood out to me as just an epic monster. It's short lived, but the bear in Annihilation,
Oh
that
yeah.
thing is fucking terrifying.
Yeah, I just watched that again a week or two ago with Kelly. I really love that movie. Hit the link.
Yeah, the
We
incredible
definitely did
movie.
that. But yeah,
Everyone
oh
should watch
yeah,
it.
absolutely. Yeah, when it's in the room and starts fucking
Screaming in the
yeah,
girl's
dude, and then
cry,
screaming with her voice. Oh, Jesus Christ. It's like
and
madness in your face.
you think it's just this crazy unique monster that the creator thought like, oh, this will be interesting. Let's combine a woman screaming with a bear's growl. No, they've got a really good reason why that sound is happening. And
Yes.
that monster is fucking cool. It's one of
Yeah.
my favorite monsters of all time.
I love that movie. And you know, something that Kelly had brought up while we were watching it, before you see that alligator when when they're in the house on the river and the girl gets taken and not eaten and it's kind of bullshit. But when they see the alligator and it's albino alligator, uh Kelly, before it comes out of anywhere, is just like it's gonna be like a rainbow alligator. And I thought, it probably should be with all that foliage that was around there and the prism effect. Maybe we discussed this during the show, but probably not. But I felt like that it should have almost been a multicolored, but it probably would have looked much worse. But to me, in my mind, I was like, that would be really smart if it was like an orchid alligator, like it had
Like
the
Sweet
coloring
Tooth,
of sweet tooth.
his afro is like green and red
Right,
and yellow.
right. They made a show out of that. Anyway, uh,
I hear
so
he's
yeah.
the only
Anyway,
reason
Love
to watch it.
Annihilation.
Annihilation, yeah. Check it out. I also wanted to talk about, we've talked about 2017 movies before, and we talk about, usually when we do this, we talk about the other movies that were big. But this
Mm-hmm.
movie wasn't big. I thought it was good, but it
Yeah.
wasn't big. Um, there were some other 2017 movies. Some of them may have been good. I didn't watch Tom Cruise's The Mummy, but that came out
No, me
this year.
neither. Me
I heard
neither.
from Logan that it was horrible.
Yeah.
Um, War of the Planet of the Apes came out this year. I watched
That
all of
number
those. Did
three.
you watch them? Yeah, that was the third one.
I feel like I definitely did because it'll actually tie into this movie. Andy Serkis did the motion capture for Caesar. And Andy Serkis was executive producer on this movie, which when I saw that during the credits, I was like, oh, this is going to have some credibility to it because that guy knows his shit. I feel like everything he does, except for maybe his role in my favorite Avengers, Age of Ultron. I don't know. His role doesn't really hold up for me. But anyway, really love Andy Serkis. So I'm sure I saw number three. I don't remember it like at all, except was Woody Harrelson the antagonist who kept driving the
Yes.
human? Yeah. So I remember it a bit.
And Gary Oldman's the antagonist in the second one. And they are both
Okay.
great. Honestly, they're great antagonists. And I think all of the remakes of Planet of the Apes were good movies.
Hmm.
they were all B's. B's are better.
Right.
Some of them
Right.
like an A minus or something.
I remember thinking Woody Harrelson's character reminded me a lot of Matthew McConaughey in Reign of Fire.
dude, I yes took the words out of my mouth. That's
Yes.
all you
Yeah,
exactly. That type of character will go down in history as Matthew McConaughey in Rain of Fire.
that's right. The magic hour
The magic. Um, Life. Did you watch Life?
with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence.
No, Life was another horror movie, horror suspense
No.
about an alien life form that they find, and it takes over their. It's not a unique story either. It takes over their starship. I've only watched YouTube clips of it. It does look good. I'm not going to spoil it for you in case we ever do it. But it looks like it's probably a B. Um, and a plot that you've seen before, but done very well. It's like Alien in the modern day. But hey, downsizing where they shrink Matt Damon,
Nope. No thanks.
that was 2017. I also did
I'm
not
good.
see that.
I
But there's
remember
another
seeing the
category.
I saw the preview in the movie theater with another movie, and I'm like, I feel like I
Matt
want to throw up in my mouth right now
Damon.
having watched that. And what? Oh,
Matt
Matt
Damon.
Damon. Yeah.
Um,
Give me a
there's another
break.
category though that I think is a little uh got some more stuff for people to chew on. Um, Other Netflix horror movies. Apparently, they're
Hmm.
pretty good at horror. Have you seen any of these? 1922, Creep,
Okay,
Caliber.
so 1922, that's about the man who kills his wife, right?
Yep,
That's based on a Stephen King short story.
yep.
And I have that audiobook. I've listened to the short story twice. It's not the best one on the book, the one where the girl, anyway, let's not get into it. But I didn't watch the movie because the short story is honestly really good. Really good.
I think if you were to, so it's Thank You for Smoking Guy,
Right. Yeah. Aaron
and
Eckhart, not Thomas
it's
Jane.
yeah,
Aaron Eckhart.
your favorite.
Two Face.
They're basically the same person. Um, he
Fucking not. Thomas Jane is a goddamn joke. Anyway.
no, Thomas Jane is fucking awesome. How dare you? Um, he's Joe's favorite. He's
I know.
Battlefield LA.
True. I do
He's
like him in Battlefield
Deep Blue
LA. Is
Sea.
it? Wait, no, isn't it Eckhart? Oh no, that's bad on me right there.
You're a monster. Um,
That's right.
1922 was I would it not as good as this movie in my opinion. I could see other people actually flip flopping them. Um, it's it's got more moments of story. So like the time where they spend at the town in this movie or the little community, it's like all that. It's all just weird, fucked up story. There is
Right.
one scene in it though that is like one of the most it's the scene where he kills his wife. It's one of the
Huh?
most like horrible things I've ever seen in a movie.
Hmm.
Um, Aside from maybe the balls scene in Hard Candy, I don't know.
Come on. That's not as bad as the ball scene in Casino Royale, in my opinion, but whatever.
Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, it's so much worse because of the talking about it. The talking about it is so bad in Hard Candy. Like, shut up. Um, anyways,
Uh,
there's a movie called Creep. Uh,
He's a
you
creep.
probably haven't watched it because
Yeah.
it's so B-roll kind of thing,
Is
but
it based on the TLC song? Because I'm into it if it's not.
it is actually.
Oh, nice.
Um, no, it's like this Craigslist ad. I don't know, like come over to my house and hang out with me kind of thing. And it just stars this weirdo dude who you, for probably an hour and a half straight, aren't sure if he's just socially awkward or a serial murderer. And it's really great. And at the end, I won't spoil it, at the very end of the movie, they deliver on if he is a murderer or just a weirdo, and you really never know up until that point. And
Hmm,
it's done very well. I would
interesting.
probably, it's in that B plus to A range, just like this movie. Um, Caliber. Have you seen Caliber?
No, I think you asked me.
So I think most people would say that Caliber is better than this movie. It's a suspense movie though, and it's like some guys go in the woods, go hunting, they end up accidentally killing someone, and then their lives become horrible after that. And it's really, really good. I don't know if I call it horror, it's just suspense. Um, I know you've seen Bird Box.
Ugh. Ugh.
Ugh. It starts out at like A plus, right? It's like for the
The
first
first
20 minutes, like this is
five,
gonna be
10 minutes
fucking awesome.
tops.
But you think it's gonna be the best movie ever, especially like there's so much hype about it. And then you're
Yeah.
just like, what the fuck am I watching for the rest of
Yes. The entire
the whole
time.
thing?
Boy, girl. Come on. Come on, Sandra Bullock. Have some self respect.
The other ones that are on this list, I've seen Cargo. I think it's one of the best zombie movies in the last 5 years. Um, I haven't seen Hush, Gerald's Box, or His House. Have you?
No, no, I
They
don't
were all
watch any of
rated
these.
as
Now, is it Gerald's box or Gerald's game? Because
I
that's
think
another
it's
Stephen King movie
Gerald's
or
Box.
story. That's a full on novel.
Uh, it's Gerald's Game. Hey, good
Yeah.
job. Thank you
So
for
that's a
calling it
Stephen
out.
King story about a guy who's kind of an abusive asshole. And he's like, let's go away for a weekend and have crazy kinky sex. And he ties her up and then he dies. And then she's got to try and survive. I think like a dog comes in and takes the body out. And it sounds pretty
What
fucked
the?
up. Yeah. An ex girlfriend had told me like she read the book and really wished she didn't. It sounds like it's horrific.
That sounds absolutely horrible. That sounds worse than Misery, which
Oh, yeah. Way worse.
is, God, Misery's one of the, would you call that horror? I wouldn't, but it could be in the same
No,
genre.
suspense. I would say that's suspense for sure. Which the late great Jimmy Caan in that is makes that movie. I mean, obviously Kathy Bates. I think she won the Oscar for it. Like phenomenal, but love Jimmy Caan in that movie. And the sheriff, the poor sheriff, she fucking blows a hole through. Misery. It used to be one of my favorites. I haven't watched it in a long, long time, but I used to watch that like every few months.
What? It's
Yeah, when I
wrong.
was
Why
very
would you
young,
do that to yourself?
just really well done, and the whole Dirty Birdie, and
But to
I
watch it every few months, like,
yeah, it was great. But I
okay,
stopped.
I
I got
will
enough.
say,
Dolores Claiborne came out, and I was like, all right, I'll move on.
I don't know why you did that, but I don't know why I did this when I was like 14. I just watched Shrek like every month. I don't know
Was
why.
not expecting that.
I don't know why. I think
Dude, fucking the singer of Smash Mouth just died. Did you read that?
no.
Yeah. Isn't that fucking crazy?
Why? Did the world
Hey,
roll him or something? Or
I mean, he's just not the sharpest tool in the shed, but he's an all-star. Get your game on. Get paid. I love the making of that album. There is a really fun little documentary on like how hard he pushed to get that album made. He was like, "No, I am gonna make this happen." Yeah.
what do you think Smash Mouth's best song is, by the way? I know the answer. It's not All Star.
No, their best song. I don't know. You tell me.
It's Walking on the Sun.
Yes, there you go.
Might
Bam,
as
bam,
well
bam,
be
bam.
walking on the bam, bam.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I'd like to buy the world a tote.
not much else to talk about with this movie, but I do think it's such an incredible horror movie. If you haven't seen it and you appreciate horror, go watch it. We got to give a shout out to the director because he did do a great job. His name is David Buckner. All he's ever done is horror movies, and there's only three of them worth noting. And I haven't seen any of them. So, have you seen The Night House or Southbound?
No, if it's a horror movie, I haven't seen it. Almost guaranteed. You got like a 5%, 3% chance that I've seen any horror movie that isn't sci-fi.
So, Southbound actually looks interesting. Um, I only read about it. I don't know how if it starts this way and it just continues, but all the main characters in the film are trapped in purgatory, and the movie is just them paying endlessly for the sins they committed while they were living. What do you think of that, and what is in that drawer?
It's a cage and it's a dog, and it sounds like she might be having respiratory issues, but
Oh,
she didn't get out when I just opened it for her. I think that sounds mildly horrifying and probably pretty interesting. People do a lot of fucked up shit while they're alive.
I
Uh,
would actually really like to see a movie about people who are in purgatory. Like, what is that movie? I'm intrigued. The guy who made this movie did that movie. It's probably good. It's rated as one of his best movies.
hmm,
Maybe we should check it out.
maybe,
Um,
maybe.
also, out of the actors, the guy who played Hutch, he was in Downton Abbey.
Oh, very nice.
Nobody else in this movie is worth talking about. So,
Rafe Spall, the main character.
I mean,
No,
he was
I've
in
got.
Hot Fuzz, but nobody cares.
No, he's all, dude. I got season tickets for this guy. I was just telling you guys I watched The Big Short again the other day. He's the optimist from The Big Short who always wants to try the different foods in the areas they're going to go to.
What do you
He's
mean he got
really
season
great.
tickets? He's a comedian.
No, he's an actor.
So you, what do you mean season tickets? Just saying
Meaning I will
words.
watch movie he's in just because I see that he's in it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I guess I get what
The
you're saying.
Hot Fuzz, he's one of the Andes. He's in Shaun of the Dead. He's the dickhead at Sean's work who is like on the phone when he's supposed to be having the meeting. And
So like not to diminish him or anyone else in this movie, everyone in this movie has been credited in at least 10 films, and they're all kind of like either their B movies or the parts they play are parts you're describing right now. Continue.
right. And I think probably bigger in Europe, maybe. Also, he was in Prometheus. Pretty sure he dies. Almost everybody does. And then they showed an ad on IMDb for a show called The English with Emily Blunt, done in the old West. I was like, "Ooh, I'm watching this." It's only 6 episodes, miniseries on Amazon Prime. Looks great. Um, Watching this movie, I definitely was hyper aware because I tried to go into it with as little knowledge of what was going to happen as possible. I did have some because I read a little bit about it, but like when they get to the rock and they put his picture up there with the candles and they're all saying some words, I felt like I was hyper aware of any ritual that was happening So when he doesn't take a drink and then pass the flask, he passes the flask first. It goes around, he takes the last drink and then he empties it. I kept looking for all this symbolism in everything they did. Really, again, your brain, my brain, builds up such a higher tension. Also, dude, let's talk about some of the camping faux pas. As soon as you go in that creepy house and you find the idol upstairs, don't you keep two guys awake and two guys go to bed? Like they all just go to bed? Fuck that. No,
Dude,
two of you are awake. You're talking all fucking night, and the other guys have to learn how to sleep through it. Because no, absolutely not.
dude, so okay, so you said three things that I've wanted to comment on and totally forgot about until now. First one is dark dice. What you just described. Yes, that's what you're supposed to do. Two people are on watch all the time. One of them has to make a constitution saving throw to see if they stay awake. And if that person falls asleep, some fucked up shit happens to
Absolutely.
everybody because the monster gets to fuck with you if only one person's awake, because that's messed up. But when they come up to that second cabin, as you said, I was like, this is D&D right here. We would just be like, nope, we keep
Yeah,
going.
that's
DM
right. Yeah.
already ruined our night once.
Yep, we're absolutely not stopping here. But then they pitch camp and they all stay in separate tents. Again,
I know.
two-man to a tent at that point, guys. There's
I
no
know.
fucking way you should be in your own. Are you crazy?
I don't
I'm like,
even, I wouldn't even two-man to a tent. It would
for
100%
you
be
guys just throw
we
down the
are
canvas.
sleeping on top of each other and it will be
That's
fine.
right. Yep. Cuddle up.
It's
Cuddle up.
cold out
Cause
there anyways. Like,
That's
whatever.
right. Oh my God. Yeah. I was like, there's no way. No way. Yeah, it would be really hard to lose your shit up in that. Para for everything. And then I really loved the very end. Let's see. I'm sorry. I'm gonna
Well, wait,
uh
while you look at that, in the beginning, you said going camping and you don't want to watch movies that ruin camping for you.
right.
There is a movie, I don't think you should watch it, but I want to talk about it because it's the absolute worst movie you could possibly watch to ruin camping. Um, Wrong Turn is not it, because Wrong Turn is like that doesn't happen. Um,
Right.
there's a movie called Backcountry, Back, and
I
it's
feel
just
like I
this.
might have seen it.
It's not even that good of a movie, and the monster in it is a bear, and it's not even a grizzly bear; it's a black bear,
Hmm.
and it's based on a true story. But they switch. The guy gets killed in the movie instead of the girl getting killed in real life. Um, but it's like just straight up, it's just a bear and it just stalks them the entire time. They get lost. They're like, we can't find our way back to the boat because my stupid boyfriend thought he was a survival expert and said he didn't need certain tools or whatever the fuck, and took me out here to prove a point. And
So
then
fucking stupid.
trying to get back, they constantly hear this bear coming up on them every time they set up camp at night.
Hmm.
And it's like 5 nights of just tension as a
Yeah.
viewer watching it. And then eventually they're just in their tent, and tents are not made out of anything. And the bear just
Right.
barges right in and kills the dude. And it's so awful. And it
Yeah.
really ruins camping. Don't ever watch it, Ben.
I feel like I might have seen it, but you're right. It doesn't sound good. One of the things I had thought was I can see this movie just being you take all the supernatural shit out of it. Well, maybe not all of it, but the monster. And it's just the degradation of this group as they try and keep their shit together, get out of being lost in such a thick woods and not turn on each other. Like that's a big time psychological thriller I can see absolutely taking up 90 minutes to 2 hours. Uh,
Have you seen
really,
Cabin Fever? Older
no.
movie now. I think it's like 2004 or something.
Hmm.
But there is a virus. They catch a virus, but overall, it's like people just doing what you said.
Yeah. No, I mean, the going, being in the woods, number one, they take this shortcut that they realize, oh, this is not a shortcut. And the guy's like, no, we just keep going. And then that idiot's like, there's a path. That means it's going to lead to people. It's like, where did you just spend the night? This path obviously belongs to whoever stays at this cabin. Fuck you, we're going down it. Go out the way you goddamn came in. There's no other explanation for what you
We have a
it drove me
guarantee
nuts.
going that way. Like
Ah,
we
dude,
know.
I can't imagine being so foolhardy as to being in woods like this, hiking, and you're like, well, we'll be okay. It's like, are you this something else lives here? Number one, the black
Well,
bear, case in
this
point.
the
Like,
second you see the ruins and the dead, actually no, the second you see the
oh, the
dead,
tent or
no,
the
no, no,
elk.
the
The
dead
elk.
elk, that's
Yeah.
when it's like, okay, guys, let's like it was weird coming in here in the first place, but this is
Yep.
let's just go
Yeah, let's
back.
face a couple of facts. Number one, something put this up there. Number two, like he said, it's still bleeding. It's fresh. And number three, let's go right back where we came, and we're going on a longer route.
Because we understand it too. Like even like who gives a fuck about the lodge at that point? Just
Yep.
go.
Yep.
Get out of
Yeah.
there.
No. And if that guy knew, if he's like, in 5 hours, they're going to report us missing and come looking, it's like, well, you know where they're really going to be able to find us easy? On all that open terrain we were just camped on for the last 2 days. They're going to find us like that. Whereas in these woods, they are never going to find us. Let's go. We're heading back. We're not going to make it. Let's go.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
why did they
No.
listen to
Anyway.
the guy who's never done anything in the woods ever? When he's like,
Mm,
I'm going down this path, blah, blah,
yeah.
blah. Just be like, no, we'll just beat you up and carry you out of here. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Listen to
Ben, but if
us.
you lose
Your
your mind,
leg
I'm going to
is
do that to you.
fucked up. Yeah. Your leg is fucked up. We're going to fuck up the other one if you don't come with us. Listen to what we're saying. We're leaving. I know you're shook up. Everybody's shook up. We need to go where we've been. Yeah. Anyway, that I found that to be why this movie was so great, was because there's the whole camping lost in the woods real shit, and then the
Yeah.
supernatural level that's just like, you can't even do anything about it. Like, you're just stuck second guessing everything the whole time. When they decide
And
we're not going to go where these footsteps lead because it's going to lead to other people, like, they probably would have been better off going to the other people. I mean, it would have been the same ending. Two people would have been sacrifices instead of one. But what your alternative is, climbing up the side of a mountain with this guy who's got one lame leg. Anyway, I digress. Really enjoyed this movie. It made me excited to watch movies. Uh,
well, but hey, they thought those people were the ones doing all the shit. So you don't go out there. I think I would have been right there with them. Also, hey, if you're going to go camping, do what we do. Bring a gun. Bring another gun for your friend who doesn't bring a gun, and bring another gun for your other friend who doesn't bring a gun because they all want to shoot them. You're out there, you're going to shoot some shit, and you'll feel a lot better when you're in the middle of nowhere. Also, bring a
Absolutely.
dog. They bark.
Big time. Yeah. Bring those
Yeah.
dogs. They are key. That's your little defense system. Absolutely.
Yeah. Bring two.
Also, it'll help you out if you like, subscribe, ring the bell, tell your friends. If you want them to start watching Covered in Film, this is probably a good episode to do so. Get into it. We're only getting better from here on out.
Have a good night.